Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick, and this is Philadelphia Live. We are going to be with you guys until 2 o'clock today, and it's a very busy day. You can see right now some of the live images that we have for you right next to me in that box. That's Homeland Security. That committee is meeting to talk about what would happen if there was a government shutdown, which departments would be affected, how they would take care of the country. As you can see, it's a bit heated. We'll probably dip in there at another moment. Also, the Nancy Guthrie case. Savannah Guthrie's mom has now been missing for 11 days. There is a new development. There is a new letter. We're going to talk all about that over the next 2 hours. And then below me, that is your U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. We're going to dip into that coverage now, and we have a lot happening. We want you to stay with us.
Epstein files are just one of many sex rings, sex crimes taking place in our society today. I hear 1,200 Epstein victims, some additional victims as young as 9 to 10 years old. The challenge I have today, what bothers me today about this hearing, Madam AG, is what's the message we're sending out there on Main Street? Shouldn't ask a question I don't know an answer to, but I'm going to ask the victims behind you right now. First, can you please stand up? And then, can you please raise your hand if you think after everything you've heard today, you feel that our AG, the feds, have your back? Do we have your back? Raise your hand if you're confident that we got your back. And that's the issue, Madam AG. We've got to make sure that victims stand up and report the crimes. Otherwise, we're going to be taking a step backwards. Today, AI, cyber, social media, the new realm for people to be hurt, attacked sexually. These are the areas I'd welcome the opportunity to work with you on. It's not your problem. It's not my problem. It's our problem. But to have redacted files that are not showing us the names of these predators is wrong. These are very powerful people. This was a very expensive business, and we don't know who they are. I would imagine they're very prominent Republicans, very Republican Democrats, and we are covering up for them. We got to know what's going on out there, Madam AG. It looks like you want to say something. I'm going to give the opportunity to address my statement.
I look forward to working with you on any crimes involving child sex predators, children, and also cyber crimes. That is a tremendous problem now throughout our country. AI, you are correct. AI is causing great problems online we're working on that though. AI is an incredible tool, but it also can be fraught with peril with victims of crime. I've experienced that with someone I know who we've been trying to help. I look forward, though, to working with you on that and all cyber crimes. Can I?
Please, go ahead.
And as I said before, to any victims, we ask them to come forward to our office, and we want to work with them. I have never not worked with a victim, and I believe I've actually spoken to several of the
Madam, if I can reclaim my time, I only have a minute.
Behind me.
If I can reclaim my time. I just think we start out by making sure those redactions are unredacted, those Epstein files, to make sure that the public, according to the law, following the law, that those names in those files are made public. We have to make sure we tell those predators there is no place for them to hide, and if they commit the crime, they're going to fry for it. It starts with showing us the names of the perpetrators in the Epstein files.
May I respond to that?
Sure.
Okay. So if any man's name was redacted that should not have been, we will, of course, unredact it. If a victim's name was unredacted, please bring it to us and we will redact it. We were given 30 days to review and redact and unredact millions of pages of documents. Our error rate is very low, but there are always
are right behind you. We've got to convince them
that
we're doing a good job
everything we can
protecting
to help
them.
the victims. We will do everything we can.
Chair, I'm out of time.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from California, Mr. Kiley, is recognized. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Madam Attorney General. I wanted to return.
So this is going to be going on for quite some time. Again, you see her, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. They're talking about a number of issues. The House committee meeting was held so they could talk about what happens in the event of a government shutdown. But obviously you can hear there are many people that have many questions for her. The other big story and the big developments that are happening today is the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's mom, 84 years old. She was taken from her home 11 days ago. The home in Tucson, Arizona. We do know that TMZ, our broadcast partner, has received a new note. This time the note is not coming from a kidnapper. There is still a demand for Bitcoin, but the note apparently is coming from a person who says they know who the kidnapper is. In the note sent to TMZ, the person says that basically they tried to reach out to the family. They got nothing back. We are going to have someone from TMZ later in the hour. The other thing that we're talking about is there was a man who was detained briefly by authorities. This is the video yesterday that the FBI released. If you know something, they do want you to call someone. The man who was briefly detained yesterday apparently looks like the image in this video. That's according to the man's in-laws. A Fox reporter caught up with him after he was released. We do have that interview.
How would you describe what happened to you?
Terrifying. Something I didn't do for something. I was being like, I felt like I was being kidnapped, bro, because they didn't tell me anything at the beginning.
And investigators showed up to this house, or were you the one who was pulled over in the traffic stop?
I was the one that was pulled over at the traffic stop.
Where was that?
Right here on by Coatesville.
Okay, and you were taken into custody at that point?
Yeah.
And you were
I was being
questioned?
detained.
Detained, okay.
I was detained the whole time.
Okay,
That's
where?
what they told me.
Where were they
At
holding
the
you?
back of a car.
Back of a car.
Miranda car, and then they moved me into a Pima County Sheriff.
Were you being questioned in the car?
At the Miranda car, I was being questioned, but they only asked me for my first name, my last name, my date of birth, and my social.
Okay. What were they asking you about?
My whereabouts.
Okay.
Where did I work? Where was I, and all that. But
Are you ever up in Tucson?
yeah, I work in Tucson.
What do you do?
GLS, deliver packages.
Okay, do you think you might have delivered a package to Nancy Guthrie's house?
I don't know, might have been a possibility, I don't know.
Yeah, do you ever deliver like Amazon packages or anything?
Well, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So do you think you may have, did they indicate that you might have been on her property? You're not sure?
Nah, they just came up, they until right now, all I know is that they show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly look like my eyes.
Right, okay.
That's it, that's all I know.
Okay.
So there you see it. And I have to say, a lot of attention has been paid to the eyes. Why? Because that's really the only thing that you can clearly make out in terms of trying to figure out who the person is in that video that you see right there that was released from the FBI. And remember, they found this because they had a private tech expert go to a back file from that camera and get those files that they say were corrupted for quite some time. We know this. There was a ransom note that was sent to local TV stations in the Tucson area. There was also a ransom note sent to TMZ. And now we're learning today there is a new note in the Nancy Guthrie case. This one is not from the kidnapper. Instead, according to TMZ, it's from someone offering to give up information on the kidnapper. The note to TMZ was received today, 5 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. our time. The sender again says they've tried to unsuccessfully reach Savannah Guthrie's brother, Cameron, and her sister, Annie, by email and text. Interestingly, how do they have those people's phone numbers? The note goes on, quote, "If they want the name of the individual involved, then I want 1 Bitcoin to the following wallet. Time is more than relevant." Remember, Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin is about $66,000. And so we've been hearing from the authorities that the Bitcoin address attached to this new note is different than the Bitcoin address that was mentioned in the initial kidnapper's notes. So there's a couple of notes, a couple of things happening, all live right now. Because of that, we're going to have a lot on this today. So I want to give you a timeline of what you can expect. Around 12:20, You know him, retired FBI agent Scott Duffy. He'll be here to explain what's going on, what he thinks of all of this. And then at 1 p.m. straight up, we're going to have Amalia Roy. She is there at the scene. And then at 1:45, we're going to have TMZ. You are going to be able to listen to exactly what's happening inside their news bureau and what they've been told from the authorities. So again, a lot going on, all of it live. We're happy that you are here with us. In the meantime, in Washington, D.C., you just saw it, there are a couple of different meetings. So we're going to go to Attorney General Pam Bondi. She's getting asked a lot of questions.
Trump signed a memorandum known as NSPM 7, purporting to address domestic terrorism. But Americans across the political spectrum were immediately alarmed by the memo's blurring of the line between unlawful conduct and constitutionally protected speech and activity, as well as its call to investigate, prosecute, and dismantle groups that the president and Stephen Miller described without evidence as, quote, an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. Now, counterterrorism experts were further alarmed by the administration's singular focus on left-wing extremism, combined with the sudden deletion from the DOJ website of decades of research and law enforcement analysis, which had concluded that right-wing extremism poses the greatest...
Again, that's a really, really long question. We're going to keep dipping in to Attorney General Pam Bondi. Again, it was supposed to be about a government shutdown. Clearly, the people in that committee are using the opportunity to ask her a variety of questions. Back here in our area, Camden firefighter Howard Bennett lost his life earlier this week. Funeral services are happening today. Chris O'Connell is there. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Jen. A very sad and somber day for family, friends, fellow firefighters, and the entire Camden community as a funeral and celebration of life is about to get underway here in Camden for Camden firefighter Captain Howard Bennett, who passed away tragically last week on the icy waters of the Delaware River. Take a look behind me. You see many firefighters from all over the area coming here to the Freedom Mortgage Pavilion, where the ceremony, the celebration of life, kicks off at about 12:30 right now. Firefighters themselves are inside paying their respects. Bennett died during a fireboat maintenance operation at Wiggins Park Marina last week when he fell into the waters. He was submerged in the Delaware River for more than 30 minutes before dying at the hospital. Many firefighters came to try and rescue him. He has been with the department for nearly 30 years. His loss is profound. A procession left the Cherry Hill area earlier today. His casket was brought here on top of a fire engine here to the Freedom Mortgage Pavilion. His family and hundreds of firefighters, like I said, are in attendance from all over our area, represented departments from the entire region, out of state. Bennett was known as a quiet but steady force, Jen, in the ranks here of the fire department. He was been here for so long, you can't find anyone who didn't know him. Among those in attendance today, Camden Mayor Vic Karstafen, along with New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill, who is set to speak here. And Jen, I'm going to bring you back out here to show we just were given the program for today's celebration of life, and they do want it to make it a celebration for Captain Bennett. I'm going to flip it around to show a couple of the pictures that his family provided. A 61-year-old, again, been with the department for nearly 30 years. His loss being felt here in Camden and the entire firefighting community today. Of course, we'll have more on the celebration of life coming up tonight at 5 o'clock, Jen.
Just really sad. We had it here, and just your heart goes out to all of them. Thank you so much, Chris. We will see you later at 5 and 6. That's just one of the big stories that we are covering today. All of it live, all of it happening right now. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We're going to be right back. We hope you join us. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. You're looking right there at Attorney General Pam Bondi. She is in a House committee meeting. They're asking her a lot of questions. The general reason why they are there is to talk about what would happen within her department should there be a government shutdown. As you can only imagine, there are a lot of questions from the people who are in that meeting. So we're going to listen in as we wait to talk to retired FBI agent Scott Duffy. We're going to talk to him in just a few minutes.
The victims' survivors' names, all right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking, Co-Conspirators, Fully Redacted. And by the way, I'm going to unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking, not to prostitution, not to money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD 302 release. These are the documents that we need that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even...
Within 24 hours in front of the policy?
Some of these files you've pulled down from the website that we will never see because we can't search the redactions. So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
Mr.
Chairman.
This isn't how this works.
Can I have my time back?
Mr.
Chairman.
The gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from
All right,
Kentucky.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Can I give my answer?
So
Yes.
I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman, may I give my answer on that? It's a political joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed. There was one redaction out of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
And we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician. You need to
I want you to watch the video.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
My position is any victim who comes forward, of course, we would love to hear from them. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I am reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim time
because this is bigger than Watergate.
When I don't answer a question the way you want.
This goes over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
now,
where the
I want to know at what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wexner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
May she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman's time has expired.
She didn't answer the question.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, could she answer the question?
Chairman, I was wondering.
The gentlelady's allowed, the Attorney General's allowed to respond the way she wants to respond to any member's questions, Republican, Democrat.
All right, I have unanimous consent request.
Gentleman's recognized for a UC.
All right, this is an example. I'm submitting these 302 forms that are entirely redacted, even when you go to look at them.
Without objection.
I'm submitting a witness statement that implicates Les Wexner.
Without objection.
I'm submitting an article from the New York Times that the DOJ released nude photos and identifiable pictures of the victims. I'm submitting a letter from A.G. Bondi to Kash Patel, imploring him to quit keeping the files when you found out that they were keeping files from you, because they're still redacting files that you...
Chairman, are we going to recess for votes?
Yes, we are.
I'm submitting for unanimous consent a document of 17 individuals who've resigned because of the Epstein files.
Without objection.
All right, so there you see the House committee meeting getting a bit spicy, but it does look like they are going to take some votes. So we're going to take this opportunity to get back to one of our other bigger stories. Obviously, everyone's been thinking about Savannah Guthrie. Her mom, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, has been missing for 11 days. And there is a lot of information that has been coming in the past 24 hours, including just today. So we're going to go to retired FBI agent, former FBI agent Scott Duffy. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, Jen.
Hey, so we know this. There's a new letter that is sent to our broadcast partner, TMZ, not from the kidnapper, but from someone who says they can send the authorities and the family to the kidnapper. A Bitcoin is about $66,000. Kidnappers want a couple $1 million. What do you make of all of that today?
So I think right from the beginning, these seem to be something different than other than legitimate ransoms. They could be because we don't have all the information, but it seemed like they were playing on the heartstrings of the family members. And now you have a third where, hey, I'm going to give you something in exchange for something. To me, this continues on, if not even emboldens, my belief that there is a separate fraud going on here, and they are just trying to get money because this is all that anybody is talking and seeing. So I've seen this play out in other types of fraud where they just keep stepping up their game in order to get money and making it seem urgent.
So you think this newest letter is bogus?
And from at least what we're being told, it does appear to be bogus, yes.
Good, okay. All right, and then, so on this show yesterday, during this time slot, FBI Director Kash Patel was able to finally get some images out there, both photographs and video of the person they think is responsible for all of this. We've heard that they had to use the private industry to get these files. They were corrupted, or maybe they were trashed at some point. First of all, are you surprised it took this long to get these images?
I'm not surprised because I've been in similar situations, totally different crimes, but trying to get video. And the days that we have seen progress technology-wise, the old VHS at a bank robbery to a DVD to where it's all on the cloud. And so investigators know what they know from their past experiences. So if they don't see a doorbell camera, they go to the family and they're like, hey, mom didn't have a subscription, then you're left with what your previous knowledge is. And ultimately, that's what I like about so many different resources being here. And of course, the FBI was like, no, we don't think that's true, and we think we can get that information. I have gone those private channels. Ultimately, businesses, big companies are going to push back on you because of the amount of time, resources it takes, even with the search warrant subpoena. So even though this is a major investigation, everybody is talking about it, you still have private industry interests that are like, we're not sure this or that, and let us do some searching here. So I believe, not only from the legal standpoint, but ultimately having to go and dig out this information, I could see this being reasonable in my opinion.
All right, so let's just say you're a current FBI agent. You see this image. I look at it, I'm not an FBI agent. I see the person's gone to great lengths to conceal their identity, but then they're aiming their face right in that camera, and the only thing they're able to use is some like weeds from the yard to cover it up. I want to know from your FBI agent lens, what are you looking at? What do you see?
Yeah, so I see an individual. One of the first questions I had when this first came out, looking at, as we're looking at it live here, that I'm like, where's the timestamp? And so with minus a timestamp, and I'm sure law enforcement has the timestamp, my question would be, hey, is this before or during or after? And what I mean is this the person first arriving on scene and kind of doing a surveying of the land? Coming across to the front door is your typical mode of entry. Seeing a Ring camera, what would tell me this is not first point of entry is you should be shocked. You should be shocked by, oh my gosh, I'm being counter surveilled. And I know how doorbell cameras work. They're going to set off an alert to somebody, if not inside the house, somewhere else. So I better run, because 911 is being called. This person doesn't seem to have any care in the world that as he spends quite a bit of time in that under the porch covering there, that
Scott, I'm going to interrupt you. You don't
doesn't seem shocked.
So you think this could be a second actor or someone that's going back in the home, like to get her? Is that where you're going?
So I would ask the question, if I was the investigator and I didn't have a timestamp, my thought would be, this is during or after, meaning there's somebody else inside and you're told, hey, go out there and ensure that we're clear. There's still nobody coming, and because they spent a considerable amount of time in that house. Or you have an individual that if this just is one party, that something has taken place inside the house, and now this person is trying to figure out an exit plan. And in that exit plan, he's like, okay, I don't have to worry about this camera anymore because I've already taken care of business inside, whatever that is. And so thereby, no 911 call or direct contact with the police. That's why I just feel like this individual has no sense of urgency or fear of being caught on camera. And yes, they're trying their best to cover it with their hand and whatnot, but you know, like anything else, when you don't have a well-executed plan, these type of things happen and you just kind of fumble your way through it.
All right, and as we begin to wrap it up, by the way, that was very insightful. I hadn't thought about it myself. It's one of the reasons why you're here, so we appreciate your insight. But as we wrap it up, does this escalate the search? Like, does it make it easier to find? They're certainly getting more calls, I have to imagine. Does this?
Yeah, they're getting more calls. You know, we have plenty of experts that can go into databases and say, is there something about the jacket, the clothing, the shoes that we can identify as this is that brand? Then we can start going to see, is that brand so popular that we'll never be able to track it down? Or is it so unique? Something that this person possesses is so unique that it's like, hey, guess what? There's one, two, or a handful of online deliveries to the Tucson area or something to that to help them take it out of the millions of potential to, hey, do we have a select few of identifiable people we can go and see if this is our guy?
I love it. We are so thankful to have you as one of our broadcast tools, and we love having you live. We really appreciate the insight. Again, I would have never thought exactly what you're saying, and it makes total sense. So I appreciate you being here. We'll see you soon, because this investigation is far from over. This show is far from over as well. Thank you, bud. We have a lot coming up. We have Shayna. We have some other insight that you are going to want to see. Just 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live, and that is a live picture of a housing complex in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. There is a police investigation happening there. If you're wondering exactly where it is, it's the 2200 block of Smith Bridge Drive. At this point, we're trying to figure out and confirm exactly what is happening there, but we do know, as you can see, there is quite a bit of police activity. I can tell you this: Skyfox does not fly over a scene unless there is something big to investigate. So as we speak with authorities there and try to confirm whatever may be happening, we are going to take a break away from that and go to Shayna. As you know, we have tons of reporters out in the field right here in the Philadelphia area. Shayna's one of them. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Today is a really cool day. We're working on a story in honor of Black History Month. Of course, it's February, so throughout the month of February, Fox 29, we have a number of stories that we would like to showcase and just kind of bring to the forefront and highlight some of the great achievements of the African American community. And so today is a representation of that. We got the chance to go inside the African American Museum here in Philadelphia to explore the exhibit that's inside, which is the Afro-centric Afrofuturism exhibit by Ruth E. Carter, who, if you're familiar with Ruth E. Carter, she is now broken the record for the most Oscar-nominated Black woman in history of the Academy Awards, really tipping the scale when she received those Oscar noms for Sinners. She has worked on countless films, including Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. She's worked on Malcolm X. She's worked on Do the Right Thing. Really, her work spans generations, and so we got to go inside and check out that exhibit and talk to the curator of the exhibit. But later, within the next actually half hour, I'll actually be talking to the legendary Ruth Carter online on Zoom for the story later on. So you're not going to want to miss it. We'll hear from her coming up later.
All right, thank you very much. We will see you later today. That's a great story. The other thing that we're looking at, we are still looking in on some of these hearings, the committee meetings, some of these things that are happening in and around Washington. We're going to dip in. I do believe this is a Border Patrol lawsuit that we're going to look into. Yeah, they're going to talk about a lawsuit against Border Patrol. We're going to listen in.
Not only do they not correct their client, ICE, not only do they not tell the court that this is not correct, but they try to enforce a protective order to not allow us to show the media, look, if you actually look at where this statement came from, it is somebody that is not Miramar Martinez. That's the scary part, right? Again, this isn't some local press person. This is Tricia McLaughlin. She is the assistant secretary. She's attributing a quote calling for violence against federal law enforcement to a Montessori school teacher when they have a report that shows they were either too careless to read it or they just didn't care and they wanted to feed this false narrative that they continue to put out that anyone who gets into any kind of traffic incident with ICE is a domestic terrorist. So if you don't have, I don't think you guys have this. We'll release this right after the press conference. It's a heavily redacted report, but if you call the U.S. Attorney's Office, they will confirm, I believe, that this was not Miramar Martinez. It was a third person, someone else in Chicago who was under investigation, had nothing to do with her. Why they never corrected that from the beginning is beyond me. Why, when anybody calls DHS, they say we stand by all of our statements and won't retract this is beyond me. But we need to demand better from our elected leaders and unelected leaders that you cannot put out false statements like this. The truth is she has no history and she's never doxed law enforcement. Again, they point to this LOL statement that she put that somebody linked one of these ICE agents to his DJ page, which again is not doxing, it's his public business. It probably actually sent him business to the extent it did anything. But Miramar was one of hundreds of people who liked it or shared it on these groups. Lie number 3, Miramar rammed the agents. You guys have now all seen the video, so you know that she didn't ram them, that they rammed her or sideswiped her. You can see it clearly in the video that the agent swerved into Miramar's car. You can see him turn left. There's a 302 that I do not think the U.S. Attorney's Office released that we will release in Agent Exum's interview with the FBI immediately after this happened. He tells the FBI agent who's interviewing him, I veered into her to create space, okay? That is completely inconsistent with Miramar hitting them. That's consistent with him hitting her. The U.S. Attorney's Office knew this from the beginning. ICE knew this from the beginning. Yet they continue, as recently as yesterday, to put out press statements saying that Miramar rammed them, which is just absolute not true. How do I play this?
Yes, let's see here.
Just to give you guys some context of what you're watching, this is coming to us, by the way, from WFLD in Chicago. Miramar Martinez, her team of lawyers, they are suing Border Patrol because they say the agents and their PR team put out bad, misleading lies against their client. So it's interesting. She was shot 5 times in the incident that this is all revolving around. They basically say that she rammed them. So again, this is a civil lawsuit against a Border Patrol agent and the Border Patrol. So when you're listening in, that's what this whole discussion is about.
Right? Had they actually turned on the cameras that we've paid for them to have, none of this, all of this could have been avoided, because you would have clearly seen that she never drove at this agent and that he shot her as she went by. But Agent Exum never bothered to turn on the camera that the government paid for him to have. So while we debate nationally whether ICE agents should have body cameras, which I think we all think they should, we need to make sure that they're instructed to hit the on switch, because Agent Exum was outfitted with one on this day and he just never turned it on, as well as the other agent in the car. The other thing is, when you watch these videos, you can see these agents are going down Kedzie here in Chicago Saturday morning with these are automatic weapons, their fingers are on the triggers. You know, one pothole, one kind of swerve by this agent, and anyone on the sidewalk is getting sprayed with bullets. Again, why they're doing this on a beautiful Saturday morning and on the south side of Chicago is beyond me, but they're certainly not making our community safer, and in fact, they're making it worse. You guys know this, or at least those who were following, but even Agent Exum admitted that there was no ramming here, and yet again, our government continues to put out statements as late as yesterday and the day before that Miramar rammed them, which is not true. I was able to question Agent Exum at the destruction of evidence hearing. I asked him, will we both agree that there was no ramming here? Is that fair to say? And Agent Exum said, yes, by my definition, yes, sir. Great, mine too. So again, are they not even talking to their own agents before they put out these statements? It appears to be so. Lie number 4. And this is a big one, right? Because this is what they had to do to justify the shoot, right? They had to say, why did you shoot this woman, right? The whole point was always we were boxed in. We couldn't move our vehicle. We knew from the beginning, because of our investigators who were able to get videos that even the U.S. Attorney's Office wasn't able to get, that this simply was not true. They were never boxed in and that they were always able to move. Yet they continue to repeat the refrain to the American public because they have this Trump mentality that regardless of whether it's true or false, if you say it enough, some people will believe it, and that's true. If you read the comments online, some people to this day believe that they were boxed in and couldn't move, despite there being a video showing that it's not true. So this was a drawing that was drawn by one of the agents when they were interviewed by the FBI immediately after. So, like, if this were true, then they would actually be telling you guys the truth that they were boxed in. These are supposed to be 3 cars that were in front of the... These are 3 cars that they drew in there, right? In reality, you guys have seen the video. I'll show it here in a second. Those cars don't exist. They weren't there. If they were there, they would have been boxed in. If they were there, they would have been unable to move. That's why the agent drew it, right? Because he knew we just shot a woman. We need to justify that shooting. And how else am I going to protect my partner, Agent Exum, for jumping out of a car and shooting someone within 2 seconds unless I can say we were boxed in? But in fact, when you see the video, those cars don't exist. And yet this administration continues to repeat these lies that they were boxed in. This is the agent's statement. The QFR Tahoe could not go forward, and the QFR team decided to exit the car so they could leave the area or make an arrest. I mean, that is a statement by one federal agent to the FBI within hours of the actual incident, lying about what happened. I mean, they could not go forward is simply not true. And you know it's not true because this is the video. Oops, how do I play this?
Let's see if we get this one going. We got my tech guy here. Thomas, what do you got here? Laptop. So this is from Mario's Tire Shop.
Here we go. Here, play.
So watch this video, right? One car gone, two car clearly gone. I mean, they're not stopping, they're not slowing down, they're out of the picture. Here's the agent's vehicle. So if you go back to that drawing that the agent did, there's nobody in front of them. How can they claim they couldn't go forward? We just saw that those cars ahead of them went forward. They drew those cars in to justify a bad shooting. The U.S. Attorney's Office knew about this. They didn't have this video, but they had that drawing, and once they saw this, they knew that those cars didn't exist. Yet nobody corrected the record. Nobody told the judge that this was wrong. Nobody amended the complaint to change this. I mean, these are officers of the court. They have a duty of candor to the court, and yet they allow this to occur when you can clearly see those three cars that were put there by agents just simply did not exist. And again, was the most frustrating part of this case. Things like this, that even the most far right-wing people, you can't argue that this is this is a gray area. This just is simply black and white. They drew a picture saying they were trapped when they weren't. Live 5, Agent Exum told the FBI that all 5 shots went through the windshield. Again, if you're trying to justify a bad shoot of Mrs. Martinez, right, the best way to do it is to say she drove straight at me and I shot 5 times through the windshield. Again, if that were true, they might have a point, but that's not true, and we know that's not true. So Agent Exum texted this to friends in the media. This is the day of the shooting. More later, this is posse chat, him and his other Border Patrol agents that have a support group text chain on an encrypted app. More later, but I fired 5 rounds into the windshield of the vehicle. I mean, that's a flat-out lie. And again, the U.S. Attorney's Office recognized they can never call this guy as a witness in trial because the jury wouldn't believe a word he said for reasons like this. He's interviewed by the FBI immediately thereafter. The FBI at that time was doing their job and actually investigating whether this was a good shooting. Exum then drew his handgun and discharged it 5 times through the windshield, right? That is a very specific claim, and that's an important claim because if he actually did that, then that might show that she was actually driving at him. But we know from the evidence that we can now talk about, that's not what happened. We know that 3 shots, and remember, she's a car length away from this guy, and he's a firearms instructor. If she's truly driving right at him, you're going to have all 5 shots straight through the driver's side of the windshield. But what do you have? Because she's not driving at him, she's driving away from him. You have 3 bullets on the passenger side, right? Again, firearms instructor, she's less than a car length away from him. He can't be that bad of a shot. What is happening is she's driving away from him. Regardless, it's only 3 shots, not 5 shots. We know that bullet 4 kicks out the rear passenger window. Again, shows that he's lying about 5 shots through the windshield and that she's already passed him. And then we know this shot went from the back to the front, so it comes through here, and we'll get a ballistics report of this eventually to everybody. And then it comes out here, and you can, again, clearly see, even with the naked eye, and again, I think, my guess is this is what the prosecutor saw and realized that they had real problems with their witness, and which is why this case was referred to the U.S. Attorney's Office in South Bend, Indiana, for a criminal investigation of Agent Exum. It's because of this. From the naked eye, you can see the bullet went back to front, which is not only inconsistent with his statement to the FBI that all 5 shots went through the windshield, but it's also extremely troubling that he's shooting at a fleeing vehicle, which is a violation of the Border Patrol's published use of force policy.
And one thing I want to interject, you'll receive a video from the Mario's Tire Shop, and what that video is going to show, it's going to show Marmir's car actually jumping up on the curb as she's fleeing from being shot and coming back onto the road. So that's something you'll be able to see. You have to slow it down, you have to pay attention, you have to look at it, but you'll see that shows she's driving away from Agent Exum, not towards him in any way, shape, or form, as consistent with the shots and the patterns of those shots.
Okay, line number 6, and we're almost done, I think. Miramar was armed with a semi-automatic weapon. Again, this is sort of playing with words as this government does, apparently, and how they try to justify the shooting. The truth is, she has no criminal history that you guys know. She had a valid CCL. She's a young single woman who lives in Chicago, where many people are armed. And her handgun was in her purse, never taken out. Agents never said she took it out. Never a claim that it was brandished. And it was in the bottom of her purse. You can see it here, inside a snapped pink holster where it always stays. So, again, you have a government trying to set up this narrative. Hey, she's a domestic terrorist. She's got no dynamite in the car. There's no suicide vest. There is a gun in her purse. Let's try to slander her that way. The problem is, again, you can't just make stuff up by saying she's armed, right? This is a firearm that she has a license for that's always in her purse and that was never taken out. And when law enforcement went back to her car pursuant to a search warrant, they found it exactly where it was all day that morning, where it always is, which was at the bottom of her purse. And again, when they tried to detain Miramar at the initial hearing as a danger to the community, and keep in mind, had they won that argument, Miramar would have been in federal prison for this entire time period while we fought to kind of exonerate her. The judge asked the federal prosecutor at the time, is this, did she brandish it? And he said, no, Your Honor. But again, that doesn't change the DHS narrative of let's keep putting out to Fox News and everybody else that she was an armed individual, because that really helps sell the false domestic terrorist label. Lie 7, that ICE has a respect for life policy. The government says that we're trying to embarrass Agent Exum. That's not what we're trying to do at all. I didn't write the text for Agent Exum. He wrote them, right? All we're doing is showing the American people that this agency that is allegedly coming to all of our towns and will continue to come to our towns going forward as long as Trump remains in office, is that they're hiring people who have this mindset. I mean, these are their private texts. Remember, Agent Exum testified that Posse group, this text group that he's in, is other Border Patrol agents, and that this is the conversation these people are having. So this statement that ICE has a respect for human life and the safety of communities we serve, it will guide their employees in the performance of their duties, is absolutely false. I mean, we've seen it's false, not only with the shooting of Miramar, but with the shooting of Miss Good, with the shooting of Mr. Preddy, and with the shooting of Severio Gonzalez here in Chicago as well. I mean, they're not living by this policy. Agents are...
So again, that's an attorney in Chicago. They are suing the Border Patrol, specifically one Border Patrol agent, because the lawyer and his client say that they basically gave out false information about her, that she was involved in something with a Border Patrol agent, and they blew it up. This is their words, to make it look like she was a domestic terrorist. So we're going to continue to dip in there, thanks to our partners at WFLD. At the same time, Sky Fox is live over Potts Grove High School. What's happening here? Well, the students are doing another lunchtime walkout. We're told that this is all about ICE. You see the Mexican flag in the beginning of this. So again, this is Potts Grove High School. And so this time last week, we did see in Montgomery County 2 different schools staging this same type of walk. They've made signs. They alerted the news media that they would be doing it at this time. They want to get attention for their opinion. So there you see it. Interesting, it looks like a lot of them are dressed in black. I'm not sure if that is part of what they've decided to do to kind of look like a group. It is 12:51, so it's the lunchtime. So you can only imagine this might be lunch at their high school. Again, Potts Grove High School. You can definitely see some of the signs. And look, they're looking up. They do know that they have captured the attention of certainly our Skyfox cameras, and you have to believe there are other people there as well. Again, we know that in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, ICE has detained people in the past several days, so it is something that people in Pennsylvania are witnessing in their neighboring communities. But yeah, that is a walkout. It is live. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. There's quite a bit happening. You see the lawsuit. We have that image. We have a lot happening. We're here till 2. We hope you can stay. We'll be right back. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. That is a live image where Mayor Parker from Philadelphia is expected to be in just a few minutes, right after 1 o'clock. She's going to be speaking with business leaders from all around our region. The camera person is getting ready to shoot that. Here's how it works. You probably know this. Sometimes they're getting video for different parts of our newscast. So I'm assuming that's what they are doing. But again, Mayor Parker live here in just a few minutes. The other thing that's happening live at this hour, WFLD in Chicago is giving us this live image. It is a lawyer who is suing in a civil lawsuit Border Patrol, a specific agent that he says gave false information about his client. Basically, they're saying they inflated what happened. They called his client, according to him, a domestic terrorist. We're going to listen back in.
Peaceful protesters. It's people who are beeping their car horn, right? That's the worst thing they can say about Miramar, said she was beeping her car horn. And then this, again, is filtered through Chief Bavino, so take it for what it's worth, but he at least informed Agent Exum, again, in the immediate aftermath of this shooting, you know, when Agent Exum is asked by his posse chat, other Border Patrol agents, and again, this is the message that's being sent out to other agents who are out in the field every day with guns. Hey, are they supportive of you now that this happened? Big time. Everybody has been, including Chief Bavino, Chief Banks, Secretary Noem, and El Jefe himself. Again, our read on El Jefe is it's President Trump just given the order of names here, but that's all according to Bavino. So not only is this the message that's being filtered from Greg Bavino to an agent who just shot somebody, but now it's going out to posse chat and other Border Patrol agents all across the country, and this is what they're seeing. And remember, this is a couple weeks before Minneapolis. So to us, we knew that Minneapolis was going to happen. We knew that it's going to happen again and again and again until somebody says, enough is enough. We aren't going to allow this to happen. We're at least going to put people on desk duty. We're at least going to do an investigation. We're not going to extend retirement ages and say, go out to the next city, you're doing great, you're doing God's work, okay? That's unacceptable. Sorry, that's it. Yeah. So again, you know, it took a long time to get this evidence released. We wouldn't have done it probably had it not been for what was going on in Minneapolis. But Miramar, after watching what we've all been watching on TV and knowing what's in the discovery, has kind of seen what's happened here. And it's our position that the country should see this and should see that Greg Bavino, the highest, you know, member of Border Patrol, like this is how he responds to one of these shootings within 4 hours. We'll take a few questions if anybody has any.
Chris, you talked a lot about how what happened here also might have impacted what happened in Minneapolis. We know Bavino's been shipped over back to California. Going forward, how do you feel the conduct revealed in these text messages might influence the way that federal agents respond in other cities that they visit post-Bavino?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're hopeful by releasing this that our elected leaders, you know, Miramar was in D.C. I was fortunate enough to go with her last week, and, you know, Senator Duckworth and others asked very specific questions and seemed to actually be interested in getting behind this and kind of trying to shift behavior. Again, I think you saw after like the George Floyd killings, right? That officer was immediately arrested and punished, and I think that sent the appropriate deterrent, chilling effect to other local officers after the fact. And so here, I think we have the opposite. When you have an officer who shoots a woman like this, and within hours, while she's still in the hospital trying to, you know, fight for her life, he's being promoted. I think that sends the opposite message. So it says to these agents out there, hey, I'd love an email from Trump. I'd love an email from Bavino. I'm getting close to retirement. I'd like to get a little more time. Let me shoot this person and see what happens. I think that's what's going on here. So hopefully by releasing this, some elected leaders will see this, which I think they will, and kind of push back on these people.
So on that same note, can you confirm that there is a criminal investigation ongoing into Agent Exum because the South Bend DOJ has been non-committal?
Yeah, so what I can say is the federal prosecutor in this case, Ron DeWald, told the court that one of the reasons they couldn't release this evidence, which apparently is now not the fact, is because there was an open criminal investigation. I made contact with the AUSA in South Bend, confirmed it was about Agent Exum, and confirmed it was about the shooting, right? The FBI still has Miramar's car. We've been given back all the other evidence because charges were dismissed. We gave them consent to keep the car. and they wanted consent to destroy the car so they can do the ballistics analysis that needs to be done. So they were supposed to send me the form that would be a consent to destroy the car. That was like in the days right before the Minneapolis shootings happened. And then since Minneapolis happened, I have not heard back from them. So our concern is that the FBI is not going to do it. That's not going to stop us. If they're not, we will demand the car back. We will have our own experts do the analysis. We will release that report to the public so they can see. But even with the naked eye, you can clearly see that that bullet comes out of the back of the seat. So.
Nancy Guthrie with NBC. Would it be okay if we got you in front of microphones?
Maramar's not going to be taking questions right
Not
now.
today?
Yep.
Chris, what do you hope to achieve with the civil suit?
You want to take that one?
Sure. So what we're going to have to do is start with an FTC claim, or Federal Torts Claim Act, and that has to be sent to the Attorney General for the Department of Homeland Security. Wait 6 months, see if they respond. We cannot file a federal lawsuit until that's done. Once they don't respond, which they won't, we'll file that federal lawsuit, and we're going to go forward on the FTCA claim, and also we're going to try a Bivens claim, which is a claim against federal agents for using excessive force. And those, as many of you may know, is very tailored. The Supreme Court on down has limited those actions going forward. Illinois has passed a law to allow for Bivens claims, but that was passed, recently, and it's not retroactive, so it does not apply.
All right, so again, this is coming out of Chicago, WFLD giving us these live images where lawyers are suing a Border Patrol agent over what they said about their client after what happened between the client and Border Patrol. At the same time, we have a live camera back here in Montgomery County. You see it. That is Springford High School. And again, it is high school students who are walking out. They are sharing messages that are anti-ICE. And so Sky Fox is over that. We're going to have a lot coming up, including tons on this Nancy Guthrie case, just a lot that you want to know. We are going to be going right to TMZ. Again, they got that note. Former FBI agent Scott Duffy doesn't think it's a legitimate note. We're going to listen to what they have to say about it and have so much more in just 2 minutes.
Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. I'm Bill Anderson, stepping in, taking you for the next hour as we keep you informed on all of the things that are taking place, all of the updates we have mentioned throughout the day, and still more as the stories evolve. Next up, something that we have been following, everybody has been following. It's a national and international story that continues to develop. And our Amalia Roy has been there in the Tucson area following on the Nancy Guthrie case. And Amalia, more information, more updates as people stay glued to this story. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Bill. It feels like since yesterday, this investigation's really started picking up. Last night, investigators searched a house in Rio Rico. That is a community about an hour south of Tucson. The man whose home that they were searching, his name is Carlos. He says that he was detained and questioned by deputies during a traffic stop. He later told Fox News that he delivers around the Tucson area, but that he had nothing to do with Nancy's disappearance.
Did they indicate that you might have been on her property? You're not sure?
Nah, they just came up. They until right now, all I know is that they show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly look like my eyes.
Carlos said investigators took his phone, but he doesn't know if they took anything from his house. Meanwhile, the FBI recently released doorbell security video from Guthrie's house showing an armed person wearing a mask and gloves walking up to Nancy's door. This person tries to block the camera, first with their hand, then with some plants. FBI Director Kash Patel says it took a long time to recover this video, initially thinking it was lost, corrupted, or inaccessible. A retired FBI investigator told Fox it's incredible they recovered anything.
They were able to data mine this, to plumb the depths of all that metadata and pull this out and do it in, I know it seems like 11 days is a long time, but the massive amount of data, LJ, it's a miracle that they were able to pull this out.
At this point, FBI Director Kash Patel says there are multiple persons of interest. The FBI is offering $50,000 to anyone who gives information that leads to them finding Nancy or an arrest or conviction to anyone who was involved in her disappearance. In Tucson, Arizona, Amalia Roy, Fox 29 News.
Amalia, just quickly, there's a lot to unpack there, and you're kind of on the ground. So the individual who was the, in quotes, suspect, based on that conversation, all we know is that perhaps a family member thought that they may have been associated, but there's no indication that they were connected in any way other than that potential tip.
No, at this point, this person was not described as a suspect. He was described as a person who was detained and brought in for questioning by deputies, but that is the most information that we have there, and that is where we are looking to learn more to see what comes after the release of this security video, how many more tips come out, and what comes of it with the investigation.
And then one more question that it's tough for us to glean being not there. You're there, you're on the ground, you're talking to different people. What's the energy like? I mean, we talked to a retired FBI agent that said that there is still this energy of hope, that they believe and are prayerful that Nancy Guthrie will be recovered and found alive. They're still pushing towards that. That's the energy.
That is something that Savannah Guthrie, she's gone on social media and said she believes her mother is still out there, still alive. What I can say about what I'm observing on the ground here, I'm actually right outside Savannah Guthrie's sister's home, Annie Guthrie, and I have spoken with neighbors who want to know what happened. They are getting annoyed by the privacy concerns because there is media everywhere. But when I can look at the investigation is that for up until, day 10, day 11, there really almost was no new information coming out every day looking for updates. And then yesterday, we have what is this big breakthrough with the security video. So you can feel that there is a bit of life in there of where this investigation is going, because since that security video has come out and people are seeing photos of it, we do know that there are more tips coming in, but it will not always lead to someone being detained or arrested.
Amalia Roy there on the ground in Arizona. Thank you very much. We appreciate the update. We will check in with you a little bit later on. I know I'll see you at 4 o'clock on our show then. We appreciate it. And it is always interesting, guys. You just get a different perspective from people who are there on the ground, getting those consistent updates of all the things that are taking place. We're going to move on now to Mayor Sherrell Parker, who is speaking at the Chamber of Commerce, of Greater Philadelphia. It's an annual luncheon. They talk about the business community developments, economic plans. Let's listen in.
Would laugh at me about when they heard me talk about this comprehensive approach called the PIE. That's prevention, intervention, and enforcement. But because of that comprehensive strategy, government working with the civic coalition, along with many stakeholders who are in this room, the city of Philadelphia has homicides and shootings that have reached their lowest levels in over 50 years here in the city of Philadelphia. Like James Baldwin said, don't simply listen to what I say, watch what we do together. Now, for someone who's saying, well, Mayor, I hear you, but I'm questioning the facts, I'm happy to tell you we have some third-party independent verification. According to the Pew Charitable Trust, our declining violence numbers, they are more significant than those that we are seeing in 20 other cities throughout our nation. Philadelphia, you did that. Give yourselves a round of applause. That's important. So getting Philadelphia cleaner and greener, that's important too. We're doing that every minute of the day. Under the leadership of our Clean and Green Director, Carlton Williams, and Sanitation Director, Crystal Jacob Shipman. I want the record to reflect, because the stats matter. We executed 94,000 actions last year, cleaning streets and illegal dumping sites and instituting twice-a-week trash collection. That's their leadership and the hard work of our municipal workforce. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Snow was tough, but we're getting there, Philadelphia, and we're proud of all of the work that our teams have been doing. I am excited about the vision being clear, about saying that I wanted to make it. If you gave me the privilege of leading this city, I would do everything I could and use every tool in the toolbox to make Philadelphia the safest, cleanest, greenest big city in the nation with access to economic opportunity for all. And what we've accomplished, I'm proud of. But today, I want to talk primarily about that last pillar, access to economic opportunity for all, and increasing economic mobility for all Philadelphians. Now, for the record, we are making progress, but Philadelphia, we are nowhere near where we need to be. You've heard the research referenced multiple times this morning when Harvard economist Raj Chetty released his research, finding that Philadelphia ranked last in economic mobility among the 50 largest U.S. metropolitan regions. I want you to know, Shelley, you got mad, I got mad too, but to me it became a challenge. How are we going to find a way to do away with the status quo in the city of Philadelphia and push the envelope? As we focus on improving access to economic opportunity and economic mobility for Philadelphia residents, listen, and businesses, I want to invite everyone in this room to do what Josh Koppelman, and you remember we talked about this during my first chamber speech. Josh told me how amazing it was to do what he did and listen to startup leaders, encourage him to imagine what life would be like with their products on the line. And I want you on today to imagine Philadelphia's bright economic future with me. I want you to think broadly with me, friends. I want you to, if you can, imagine if all of us can see housing as a gateway to economic opportunity and economic mobility. I want you to ask any economist, and I'm intentional here. You can talk to a liberal economist, a moderate economist, a conservative economist. They will all tell you the same thing. We do have a housing crisis in our nation, but yes, it's all rooted in two things: And you won't ever be able to address the crisis if you don't get at the nucleus. And the nucleus is supply and production. Supply and production. That is why my administration is offering very specific solutions, like the $2 billion investment in building, restoring, and repairing 30,000 units of housing through our home initiative. That's Housing Opportunities Made Easy. It's the largest housing program in Philadelphia's history. I want to now, for the record, say to you, Council President Kenyatta Johnson, and all members of the City Council of Philadelphia, thank you for us all being able to work in partnership to get home to the finish line. Mr. President, mayors across the nation are paying attention to what we just accomplished here in the city of Philadelphia, and they are attempting to duplicate those efforts. But I'm happy that Philadelphia can lead in housing. Please give a round of applause for home.
And so that
housing.
has been Mayor Sherrell Parker talking to the Chamber of Commerce of Greater Philadelphia. This is an annual event. They have a luncheon, they have a presentation, they talk about kind of the state of the city, economic development, business opportunities, and more things that are impacting potential growth. We'll come back to that perhaps a little bit later on, but we want to talk to our Kelly Rule, who has spent the day trying to get more information on a family that is looking for answers. They are trying to hold people accountable. They have questions about an ICE raid that took place in Montgomery County. And Kelly, they have some demands, but they really do want answers.
I think answers is definitely the top of their priority list. So I'll show you what's happening here now. So we're at North Berry Street and Ridge Pike, and this is right around the corner from where that situation happened on Monday, and where the family says Jose Cordova Lopez was taken into custody by ICE officers. Now, we did obtain federal court documents that detail a little more information, according to ICE, about what happened on Monday. They say that, according to an ICE officer, they became aware of Cordova Lopez last year after he was arrested in August for a DUI. Those charges are still pending, and he has a court date coming up next month. But according to documents, ICE officers became aware of him after that and looked into his immigration status and found that he was here on a agriculture worker visa that was from roughly September 2021 to roughly December of 2021. And they're saying that, that visa would have expired in December of 2021. So I'm not sure why the delay between August and this Monday, but Monday they were here in this area. This is the address that he had listed from that arrest. And according to documents, they saw him saw what they believed to be was Cordova Lopez enter a white Jeep. They tried to stop the Jeep. They said the Jeep would not stop. At one point, hit an ICE officer's vehicle. This is all according to federal court documents. Drove off and then drove back to this listed address, got out of the car, went inside, and a woman at the door shut the door. And we know from family that he was taken into custody after that. Family obviously painting a different picture on Monday, describing how traumatic this was, and feel that this was not done the way it should have been. So we're expecting to hear from them in about 20 minutes or so, and hear what those demands are. Again, there's a lot of people gathering. I know on Monday there was some protesters and support from the community, and we're expecting to see more of that here today as well.
We can see some of it just on your shot. You can see some of the people starting to come together. But as you pointed out, we're expecting at right around 1:30, as people accumulate, that they're going to give more information on what happened. But we're hearing about this kind of 6-point plan. So very specific set of like a call to action and request that we're expecting to hear.
That's what we're expecting. Yeah, I think they have a clear action plan of what they want to come from all of this. Obviously, we know that he has defense attorneys, and we've reached out to them as well. He also has an attorney that was representing him on that DUI case. We reached out to that attorney as well. But yeah, we'll be waiting to hear what the situation is. But according to ICE, he was here illegally. That's their stance. So it'll ultimately be up to the court system, but sounds like he has a lot of people that will be fighting for him as well.
Kelly Rule, we appreciate it. We actually are going to come back, as soon as that press conference starts to happen. We probably will be pulling up your camera, your coverage in just a little bit so we can bring it to people as well. But thank you, Kel. We'll check in with you in a little bit. That is our Kelly Rule, who is there. As I said, as soon as that press conference gets started, we will at least listen to some portion of it here on Philadelphia Live on Fox Local and all streaming platforms. Give us a couple minutes. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. It's 1:22. This is Philadelphia Live on Fox Local, and we're looking at a hearing where Attorney General Pam Bondi is being, let's call it, strongly questioned by members of the House about her capacity and her role in various different things, law enforcement and what have you. Let's get right to it. It is heated, as it has been throughout the day.
Mr. Chairman. Madam Attorney General, the time belongs to the gentleman from Colorado.
The president under which PIN was created was Gerald Ford. It was created after Watergate. I'm not asking a question, Madam Attorney General. The administration under which it was created was Gerald Ford. When you first started as the Attorney General of the United States, there were 35 people working in that office. There are now 2 people working in that office because you have gutted it. How many people work for the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team in the criminal division today?
Can I answer the question about PIN?
I've asked you a question. How many
You've
people
asked
work?
me a question, but you don't
How
want
many
the answer.
people work
I'm not
for the
gonna answer your
National
questions the way you
Cryptocurrency
want.
Enforcement Team? You won't answer how many
I'll
people?
answer PIN.
You.
PIN will not be
you know what?
weaponized.
You know what?
What's
Madam
funny
Attorney
about
General,
this?
I'll say to the chairman.
What's funny about
Mr. Chairman,
this?
you know what the answer is? And I think I
What's
understand
funny
why the
about
Attorney General
this?
does not want to answer the question. Because you eliminated the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team last year. So I understand why you don't want to tell the American people who works there.
Yeah, I
no one
understand
works
why
there
you don't want to
anymore,
talk about
Madam
Mohammed
Attorney
Solomon
General.
in
So
your district.
In any event,
who
I would
murdered people.
Mr. Chairman, will you stop the clock so his time is not wasted by the
I've
witness?
been very generous with allowing extra time when we have these little disputes.
I understand.
You got the time, Mr. Goose.
I might as well ask the chairman these questions.
I'd be happy
because
to
what
answer
what
some
is
of your
fu-
questions.
What's profound, the questions I've
Profound?
asked,
The crime in
questions
your
I've
district.
asked, Mr. Chairman, are not trick questions. They're not gotcha questions. They're actually basic questions about how the Department of Justice functions and the unwillingness of this Attorney General to answer them in good faith. When a member of Congress asks how many people work at the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team and the Attorney General refuses to answer it, it is not a coincidence. It's because she eliminated the team. Why? Because her boss, the President of the United States, is making money hand over fist, $1.4 billion over the course of the last year through cryptocurrency holdings. I think what is happening at the Department of Justice is a disgrace, Mr. Chairman, and I would urge you to gain control of this hearing. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Yeah. I would ask the gentleman, does he agree with the standing up of the Deputy Attorney General for dealing with fraud? That's something that's happened in this administration, first time. You talked about Penn. That happened with this Justice Department.
We're talking about this committee.
Mr. Chairman, had you answered the question, had the Attorney General answered the question in that way, perhaps this hearing would have some modicum of resembling something that has typically been fairly conventional, an oversight hearing of the Department of Justice.
The gentleman's
That is
time
not
has expired. The gentlelady from Wyoming is recognized for 5 minutes.
Attorney General Bondi, I want to express my gratitude to the President, you and your team for your continued efforts against extreme anti-energy policies taken by states and cities that serve only to increase costs on the American people. This is an issue of great concern for Congress as well as the consumers. At the behest of networks of non-governmental organizations and anti-growth activists, Democratic-controlled states and cities are enacting laws and pursuing coordinated lawsuits that would impose retroactive liability on energy producers for past global emissions based on speculative future climate change harms. The proponents of these plans call them climate superfund laws, but in reality, that is simply window dressing for taxes and fees imposed on consumers and businesses that don't even have a presence in these states or communities. But if you look at the billions of dollars they hope to gain from these efforts, the real goal here is to increase their already mismanaged state budgets by imposing fees on consumers and businesses in energy-producing states such as the state of Wyoming. I would describe this as the tobacco litigation on steroids. Vermont has enacted such a law, and another has recently gone into effect in New York. Similar laws are under consideration in a number of other states. Clearly, this problem is spreading. Would you agree that Congress has not authorized states to impose retroactive liability against energy producers and lawful carbon emissions?
Yes.
And would you also agree that protecting consumers is a core part of the DOJ's mission?
Absolutely.
Would you further agree that combating state policies that seek to hide and shift the true cost of programs like these onto consumers fits within your mission?
Yes.
So, Attorney General Bondi, fossil fuels are the foundation of the U.S. economy, and the recent winter storms underscored that gas, coal, and oil remain essential to grid reliability and heating our homes. Can you confirm that the DOJ is fully committed to using all available legal tools to stop these state and local level attacks on domestic energy production?
Congresswoman, we are committed to that, and so is the entire administration. We talk about that a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The President's April 2025 executive order directed the DOJ to identify and act against state laws that burden U.S. energy production. What concrete actions has the DOJ and the administration more broadly taken to carry out this directive?
Well, we filed 4 lawsuits. We're filing multiple lawsuits. Many things are pending within this office to carry that out.
Okay. States continue to invent new causes of action to pursue state climate lawfare, as is evidenced by Michigan's recent novel claim related to antitrust violations. The city of Boulder, Colorado has also filed such a lawsuit, despite refusing my challenge that they actually forego the use of fossil fuels if they disagree with them so much. Does the Department of Justice agree that these novel approaches require a federal response, and will the department pursue such an approach?
Yes, Congresswoman, and we'd be happy to talk to you more about that.
Wonderful,
Yes.
Thank you. Multiple climate lawsuits are now advancing toward trial, even in states that rely on those energy forms to provide heat and electricity for their citizens. In fact, in any community, they all rely upon fossil fuels in some fashion. Is the department actively considering intervention to protect federal supremacy over interstate emissions and energy policy?
Yes, we'd be happy to discuss that with you.
Thank you. And clearly this is an area in which Congress has a role to play. To that end, I'm working with my colleagues in both the House and Senate to craft legislation tackling both these state laws and the lawsuits that could destroy energy affordability for consumers. To that end, are there any authorities or tools that DOJ and the administration don't currently have at their disposal that would be helpful in that effort that Congress could adopt?
Well, we work with multiple agencies throughout the administration, but I'd be happy to talk to you about that more.
Wonderful,
Yes.
thank you. I appreciate your effort in this regard.
And may I have 20 seconds of your time
Please.
to address something?
Yes.
Thank you. Your colleague, Senator Neguse, didn't want to talk about crypto because he said I was a disgrace talking about crypto because he didn't want to talk about the tremendous crime in his jurisdiction. He voted no on preventing violence against women by illegal aliens. Yet, on June 1st, 2025, Mohammed Solomon attacked members of the group Run for Their Lives in Boulder, Colorado, where an 82-year-old woman sustained burns on over half of her body and eventually died from her injuries.
I believe that she was a Holocaust survivor.
She was.
The time the gentlelady has expired,
I yield back.
the gentlelady yields back, and the gentlelady from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Bondi, as the Florida Attorney General, attorneys from your office handled the appeal of my son, Jordan Davis's murder, which was denied. As a result of the efforts of those attorneys under your watch, the court actually upheld the life sentence for a man who used prejudice as his defense for murdering my son and scarring his friends for life. Attorneys from your office, under your management, worked hard to remove a dangerous man from the community who terrorized innocent people like my son and his friends. The compassion and respect that my family received throughout that ordeal were critical in helping us keep faith in the rule of law and justice. Based on my experiences, I have seen how strong victim services, sustained investigations, and well-supported prosecutors can make a meaningful difference in the lives of families who are grieving and suffering. Ms. Bondi, just yes or no, would you agree that government officials should be respectful and supportive of victims' families as they mourn?
First, Congresswoman, thank you for talking about that, and I'm so very sorry for what happened to your family.
Thank you.
And yes, I agree with that with all victims, including the ones sitting behind us today. I absolutely do. And
Okay.
also, thank you for voting yes on the Lake and Riley Act.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so your answer is why the recent treatment of families in Minnesota raises really serious concerns for me. Because shortly after Mr. Alex Preddy was murdered, administration officials referred to him as an assassin and called Mr. Preddy the definition of domestic terrorism. They also lied about Mr. Preddy holding a gun and threatening officers. After Ms. Renee Good was murdered by ICE officials in Minneapolis, administration officials also accused her of being a domestic terrorist and investigated her wife in a clear act of retaliation. The statement Mr. Preddy's mother made after the murder resonated with me more than you'll ever imagine. She said that, and I'm quoting, "The sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting," end quote. And I assure you, I know how it feels to hear lies that are told to justify the taking of someone's son. They were used by my son's murderer as a defense, and those lies still affect me today. He was called a thug, and he was called a gangbanger. And the attorneys from your office actually defended my son's name, his memory, and defended his honor. I'm certain that Mr. Preddy's mother watched videos of her son, Alex, an ICU nurse at the VA hospital, using his phone to record federal agents. She also watched him getting pepper sprayed, kicked, hit in the head, and surrounded by at least 7 agents before having his gun removed from his waistband, which he legally carried. And she watched seconds later as 2 of those agents shot her son Alex at least 10 times. The administration was quick to spew an incorrect narrative and call him so many things that they wanted us to ignore the truth that we actually saw with our own eyes. Ms. Bondi, will you denounce the statements that were made to tarnish the names of Alex Preddy and Renee Good? And will you protect their names like those attorneys back in Florida under your watch protected my son's name?
What I will say is we are looking at everything to shed light on what happened that day, and it is an ongoing and active investigation. Both of those cases, and I assure you they will be investigated.
Investigating, we understand that, but will you do everything in your power, as you have done for my case, as you are asked to do, as you've sworn an oath to do? It is your responsibility to make sure that you are following the rule of law. Those families in Minnesota, they deserve the same respect. They deserve a full investigation, which you have not even begun to do yet. So what are you saying, is that they don't deserve any respect for a full investigation into their murders?
Well,
that
that's
is
not
incompetence on your behalf.
Well, that
the
is
American
not accurate.
people do deserve better. Non-commitment to defending the rule of law is what we see from you.
I
I
told
will
you we
always
were
stand up for
investigating.
survivors, and I heard you say earlier when you told us that you will fight for them as well. And based on the information before us, these families have not received the same commitment to investigate what happened to their loved ones, nor have they received the respect that I would expect from the nation's top law enforcement officer. Investigations have been slow-walked, they've been canceled, and the special agent assigned to Renee Good's investigation resigned following pressure from your officials to reclassify Ms. Good's case.
Time of the
For
gentlelady.
families seeking answers and accountability, the withdrawal of investigative
Time of the
resources is
gentlelady
simply unacceptable.
has expired. The gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Attorney General, I get the sense that we've lost a little perspective here. The most fundamental responsibility of government is to protect the lives and property of its citizens. Now, you cited some crime figures in your opening statement, and I wonder if you could repeat them, because I think it's one of the most extraordinary achievements of the Department of Justice in our history, and I don't think some of my colleagues heard you clearly.
Thank you, Congressman. And would you mind if I address something that
Go right ahead.
Congresswoman McBath wouldn't let me address first?
Go right ahead.
The reason that she wants to continue to talk about Minnesota, which we will all day long, is she doesn't want to talk about her own jurisdiction in Atlanta, because she doesn't want to talk about Christopher Welcher, who traveled across state lines to try to meet, and nothing's funny about this, to meet and molest a 14-year-old girl in Georgia. That's why they're watching the clock, the American people should know, for the second it runs out, because they don't want to address anything in their jurisdiction. They're elected to represent people in their jurisdiction. We prosecuted illegal aliens who ran a large-scale meth operation in the Atlanta metro area.
You understand we don't prosecute,
Madam
right,
Attorney-
Ms. Mundy?
Madam Attorney General,
On the law,
I'm sorry, thank
Mr.
you.
McClintock.
So yes, the statistics I spoke of earlier, Congressman, under the leadership of the FBI, historic work has been done. A drop 20% in the nationwide murder rate in 2025. Least murders in our country since 1900, and that is to the work because of the
But
credit
it's not
of
just
Donald
homicides, is it? It's also other violent crimes, robbery. Could you go through that list real quick?
Yes, Congressman. 100% increase in violent crime arrest in 2025 compared to 2024.
What's that done to the violent crime rate in the country?
It's plummeting. 1,800 gangs.
Wait a second. Do you mean to honestly tell us, and you're under oath, that if we take violent criminals off the streets, we end up with less crime?
I certainly hope so, Congressman, and that's our goal, and that's
an
President Trump's
extraordinary concept, and I'm afraid it may be lost on some of our Democratic colleagues. I look at these numbers, and they're absolutely staggering. It didn't happen by accident. It happened because of specific policies that you've implemented this year. And you mentioned a few of them. Would you continue?
Over 6,000 child victims located, 22% increase. Over 1,700 child predators arrested, 10% increase. Over 300 human traffickers arrested. Let me jump down to DEA right now. That was just FBI. Under Terry Cole's
So as we have pointed out, the hearing has been spicy. It also is sharing quite a bit of information, so we will continue to jump in so that you can hear more. We will continue to get updates throughout that hearing and more. Coming back in just a second, going to check in with our Greg Payne and others with all the stories that are going on locally, nationally, and internationally. This is Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. Stay tuned. It's 1:41. This is Philadelphia Live on Fox Local and all streaming platforms, and you are seeing the press conference that we were talking about earlier with Kelly Rule. This is the family of Jose Manuel Cordova Lopez, immigrant rights groups, and more. They're looking for answers, presenting a 6-point plan, and trying to get to the bottom of a situation that happened with their family involving ICE agents. We will continue to keep you informed on that throughout the hour and throughout the rest of the day, as we are just about always live here on Fox Local. If it is happening, we will bring it to you in the moment and in real time. And that is the case with our next story as well. So our Greg Payne is looking into something that, honestly, if you're a lifetime Philadelphian, has been an issue for years. It is the discussion about the Joe Frazier statue versus the Rocky statue, the placement, where one should go, and the significance. And Greg, that battle, those protests, the lawsuits, they continue.
They continue, but it sounds like essentially it might be over, because the Art Commission, they had just voted and decided that they are going to move the Joe Frazier statue that you see over in South Philadelphia. That is going to go in the old spot where currently you do have the Rocky statue there now, but as we've talked about in the past, that one's going to be moving to the top of the steps. Then the one that's at the top of the steps currently, that's going to Stallone. Now there was going to be that open space where that statue used to be. Well, that is going to be the home of Mr. Joe Frazier's statue that's currently in South Philadelphia. It's going to move to that location. And so, Bill, you talked about it. There's been so much controversy, so much conversations about this, so much talk about it, that, to be honest, when they finally made the decision today, there was a large amount of community comments, people that were like chiming in through Zoom and voicing their opinions, and you just really felt that there was so many people that were extremely proud about this situation of this statue of Joe Frazier now going to be located right there at the bottom of the Art Museum steps. Now that move's gonna happen essentially when the Rocky statue goes inside the Art Museum for a little bit. that area is then going to be open during that period of time. They're going to make that move, or they're going to move the Joe Frazier statue, which is going to be the same one that's over in South Philadelphia. They're just going to relocate it, and it's going to go into that spot. Now, they are going to have a different base on the bottom, just to accommodate that new area, that new spot. And one of the discussions was talking about having a QR code on the base of it, because as you can imagine, tons of international folks go to the art museum steps to check out the Rocky statue, because Rocky is well known all across the world because of, his role in the movie. And so they want to make sure that there's a QR code on the bottom of Joe Frazier so that international folks can kind of understand the story. And it was very interesting, Bill, because I had an opportunity to do some MOS, and to be honest, it worked out exactly what they were talking about in that meeting. So when I went to go interview some folks from like Scotland and New Zealand, they didn't know who Joe Frazier was. And I kind of had to educate them a little bit, give them the background about Muhammad Ali and how he beat Muhammad Ali. And they were like, oh, wow, okay, this guy sounds legit. Okay, this makes sense. Yes, have the real boxer over here. So it was kind of cool being able to educate some folks about that. And that's what they're hoping having this statue down below will do, is to kind of educate folks and be an origin story, because the Rocky character of Joe Frazier, I mean, a lot of things Joe Frazier did, his daughter was in attendance, and she was talking about how her father used to run up those rocky steps with weighted shoes. He used to, beat the beat like the hanging meat. He used to beat those and like kind of do that boxing training. So I mean, it's incredible to see something like this happen.
Greg, it was a very appropriate time for your camera to freeze, so we are very happy in that one moment. We'll keep it moving from that discussion. Going back to my radio days, I am very familiar with Judge Jackie Frazier Lyde. She fought Layla Ali. Like, they had an ongoing situation, and she's still around, still involved. This is a fight that they've been having for years, and I think that it is long overdue that they have found a solution that doesn't necessarily require you to pick either or. Like, you can celebrate the real champion and celebrate the fictional champion that has come to mean so much to Philadelphia, all at the same time. So good for them, but it feels like this could have happened a long time ago. Glad it's happening now.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. This is long overdue, and you felt it when the people that were talking in those Zooms, they were just so proud. One of the women that called in, she had said, I feel so happy to be a Philadelphian today. So, I mean, it's really exciting to see something like this happen, and the true impact that it has on Philadelphians and those beyond, that having this statue, Joe Frazier, be right there at the Art Museum steps, right next to Rocky.
I love it. Greg Payne, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We will check in with you a little bit later on. I will see you in the 4 o'clock show, Behind the News, here on Fox Local and Fox 29. Guys, one of the things that we have continued to follow for, 11 days now, is the Nancy Guthrie situation. There is more information that's coming out. TMZ, honestly, has been breaking news with this story, have been talking to people directly, and they continue to do that. So Branson Quirk joins us to discuss some of the latest. So we know you guys have talked about ransom notes, additional ransom notes. What's the latest that TMZ's got?
Right, so TMZ initially got that first alleged ransom note that it went all over the news, but today we got a new note, this time not from the kidnapper, this time from someone that allegedly has information related to the suspect that's involved in the missing case of Nancy Guthrie. This message, and I'll read it verbatim for you, said, if they want the name of the individual involved, then I want 1 Bitcoin to the following address and then put the Bitcoin address under there. So immediately upon receiving this note here at TMZ this morning, we sent it off to authorities, to the FBI, and now they are obviously going to investigate this to see if it is legitimate. We know that they had arrested a man last week in Los Angeles who was posing as the kidnapper, the alleged kidnapper, asking the family for Bitcoin and so forth, texting them personally, which in this new note as well, this person also said that they unsuccessfully was reaching out to Savannah and the family and the siblings as well, asking for that Bitcoin. So right now, they are still continuing to investigate this. Obviously, last night there was a lot that happened, including them actually detaining somebody who in turn was then released hours later.
TMZ has a history of having a huge network of people providing information and kind of coming forward, breaking stories. But I'm curious about that kind of process. You guys get this note, the latest one, you turn it over to authorities, and then it's kind of up to authorities to verify whether or not they believe that it is credible. TMZ is simply saying, we got it, now it's on you, FBI.
Right, exactly, because these are sent anonymously on the TMZ website. You can send a tip to TMZ in any anonymous way you would like. You can send it to our form, and then it comes to us with no trail, essentially. So when these are sent to us, we give everything we have to the FBI, and then it's up to them to actually verify it. To me, personally, I don't know about you, but reading a note like this, seeing that there's a lot of Bitcoin being mentioned here, a lot of money being mentioned just in the last week or so, there are people out there that want to capitalize on this. There are people out there that want to try to make a quick buck off of this, which is horrible, a very horrible thing to do, but it does happen. So it really is up to them to see if this is legitimate. And we really hope that, again, they get to the bottom of this very soon and that Nancy can come home safely.
Branson, I'm just curious, and I don't even know if you know the answer to this, but because so many people come to TMZ with information, is this type of thing unusual, or have ransom notes, this type of correspondence, has that type of thing happened with TMZ in the past, or is this unusual even for you guys?
Well, I can't speak on that too much in terms of that because I don't have all the information right now to go back in time, but I will say that this is very unusual. I've been here for a few years myself, but in terms of ransom notes, this is the first ransom note I've seen come into TMZ being here in the last few years, but in terms of a ransom note, this kind of seems on brand for somebody who's trying to get media attention. They immediately reached out to 2 Arizona-based news stations, and I don't know the exact order of when that was sent out, but it's also very possible that when they had reached out to a local station, they weren't getting the kind of media attention that this person may have wanted, and then immediately sent it off to TMZ knowing that we would put this out there for everybody to see. Of course, we actually sent that to the FBI immediately before even getting permission to talk about this on the air, but this is common if someone is trying to get media attention.
Yeah, we appreciate all the information you guys have shared, the exclusives, and sharing it with us as well so that we can keep people informed. And it has obviously upped the profile and getting more information out there. So Branson Quirk, thank you very much. And we will check in with you again throughout the week. Thank you so much. That's Branson Quirk for TMZ. Let's take a break. Time is shooting through this hour. You can see a bunch of things are going on. We will check in with them. You've got Mayor Parker still speaking to the Chamber of Commerce. You've got Attorney General Bondi still involved in spirited discussions about her first year as Attorney General, and of course the surveillance video as well as the ICE presser. Everything is going on, and we will keep you posted. This is Philadelphia Live on Fox Local. Philadelphia Live on Fox Local and all streaming platforms. As you can see, the hearing involving Attorney General Pam Bondi continues. It has been spirited, it has been somewhat confrontational, it has been informative, so let's get back to it.
So are the names of other senior Trump officials: Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce; John Phelan, the Secretary of the Navy; and Stephen Feinberg, the Deputy Secretary of Defense. These men were appointed by President Trump to senior positions in his administration. All of them have clear and confirmed ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Attorney General Bondi, yes or no, has the Justice Department asked Secretary Lutnick about his ties to Epstein?
Excuse me. Secretary Lutnick has addressed those ties himself.
I'm asking you, has the Justice Department specifically asked Secretary Lutnick about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
He has addressed those ties himself.
Has the DOJ asked Secretary Phelan about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know whether he has addressed those or not.
Has the Deputy Secretary Feinberg talked to the Department of Justice about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein? Yes or no? Has the Department of Justice talked to Deputy Secretary Feinberg about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, which are clearly spelled out in the files? It's a very simple question. It's not a trick question. I'm just asking you.
Yeah, I'm stunned that you want to continue talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Epstein
Okay,
instead
I'm
of a
reclaiming
Border
my
Patrol
time. I'm
agent
asking
murder.
you not a trick question, a simple
Stunned.
question. Okay, so what is clear is we have evidence.
Do you know who Chris Malin is?
We have evidence that 3 senior officials within the Trump administration have ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And what I
does ties mean?
I can conclude
What does
from what
ties
you are
mean?
saying that you have not talked to them.
What does ties mean? Can
I
you
think
define
Americans would be shocked to learn that you are not interested in talking with these officials who have ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
What does
across
ties
the
mean?
world,
Can you define that?
across the world,
Can you
prominent
define
men
ties?
who've been
Time
exposed
belongs to the
in the files have resigned their jobs in disgrace, and that's a good first start. And that same
Disgrace is
standard,
not saying the word
this
Chris
same
Malin.
standard should apply here. And Americans want accountability.
Who is Chris Malin?
Was the president
he?
aware? Please stop talking. It is not your time to ask
was
questions. It is not your time. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chair.
One
Time
second.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Vermont.
Was the president aware of Secretary Lutnick's ties to Epstein when he chose him to lead the Department of Commerce? Was he aware?
Chris Malin was a Border Patrol agent.
Okay, so I'm going to conclude that the president, in fact, did know about his ties because he was the next door neighbor.
Shame on you.
Oh, for goodness sakes,
You're
this
from
is
a tiny,
pathetic. This
beautiful
is
state.
pathetic, Mr.
Committee will be
Chair.
in order.
I am not asking trick questions here.
You
The
got your
American
5
people
minutes.
have a right to know the answers to this. These are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game, Secretary.
I'm Attorney General.
My apologies, I couldn't tell. By 2008, we knew that Epstein was a convicted sexual abuser. And we now know that Lutnick went to Epstein's Island in 2012. How was that not a deal breaker for the president? And why aren't you asking questions of the Commerce Secretary about what he saw when he was at the island, which he lied about not ever going to? Why are you not asking these questions? And I see that my time is almost expired, so I will say this. Do the right thing, Attorney General. Meet with the survivors. They have been asking for a year. Meet with the survivors. Do the right thing. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from South Carolina is recognized for 5 minutes.
May I have 20 seconds of his time?
So that'll be up to the gentleman, but.
Absolutely, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you. I was curious if you